You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly. You have successfully joined the webcast. Please stand by. The meeting will begin shortly.
Good afternoon, everyone. I would now call to order the meeting of the directors of the Empire State New Market Tax Credit Corporation for Monday, March 16th, 2026. I'd like to know for the record that this meeting is being webcast and I will be the acting chair for today's meeting. Also know for the record that the public was given an opportunity to comment on the agenda items by submitting their written comments by noon on March 13th. And also state for the record that no comments were received from the public concerning today's agenda items. The directors have received the relevant written materials in advance of today's meeting and are free to ask questions at any time. At this time, I would ask the directors whether anyone has any potential conflict of interest with respect to any of the items on the agenda. If so, we will ask you to please make a disclosure on the record, and we will remind you to recuse yourself from such item discussion or vote on any such items. Fantastic. Hearing none. The first item on today's agenda is the approval of the minutes from September 4th, 2025 directors meeting. Are there any questions, comments, additions, or deletions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
And I'll second it. Bold move, Edwin, really going out on a limb there with that motion. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, thank you. The motion carries. John Evan Hornsby, President of the Empire State New Market Corporation, will now present the next item on today's agenda, the approval of the corporation's operating budget for the fiscal year 26-27. John Evan.
Thank you, Kevin, and good afternoon, all. New York State finance law requires that prior to the commencement of each new fiscal year, the directors of Empire State New Market Corporation adopt an annual operating budget. Approval is hereby requested for the proposed fiscal year 2026-27 operating budget. ESNMC was incorporated for the purpose of applying for allocations of federal New Markets tax credits from the Department of Treasury's Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. The corporation has received 6 allocations of NMTCs from the CDFI fund to date, totaling $300 million, including consecutive awards in the last 4 rounds. ESNMC is deploying the allocations consistent with the related NMTC applications and allocation agreements with the CDFI fund. The corporation continues to service its closed transactions and expects to deploy its current NMTC allocations during the 2026 and 2027 calendar years. The directors are thus presented with the proposed operating budget for fiscal year 2026-27. ESNMC revenues come from fees charged on transactions. In fiscal year 2024-25, ESNMC revenue was approximately $1.6 million. In fiscal year 2025-26, revenue is projected to be approximately $2.3 million. And in fiscal year 2026-27, revenue is projected to be approximately $2.7 million, primarily from fees from newly closed transactions. In addition to the expenses funded by ESNMC fees received from transactions, ESNMC incurs certain transaction-specific consulting expenses that are paid by borrowers directly from transaction closing proceeds. Such expenses have been excluded from this budget. The proposed fiscal year 2026-27 operating budget reflects $1,243,136 of expenses. $426,000 of those expenses is projected for personal services. $600,000 is projected as fees to ESNMC's consultant, Rise Community Capital, for preparation of a 2026 NMTC allocation application and assistance with allocation deployment. And $200,000 is projected for legal and accounting services associated with closed NMTC transactions. The remaining $17,136 is projected for insurance and other non-personal services. The directors are requested to approve the proposed ESNMC operating budget for fiscal year 2026-27. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions.
Cool. Thanks, John Evan. Any questions, comments, additions, or deletions from the directors with regard to this item?
I have none.
I do have a question. John Evan, I know that the NPS budget is increasing fairly substantially from $650,000 to $800,000, roughly 20-25% increase. What's the thinking or reasoning behind that level of increase this year?
Yeah, absolutely. So given the success that we've had over the past 4 years receiving allocations, we now have closed a number of transactions, creating additional subsidiary CDs, and we plan to close additional transactions that just increase the amount of accounting expenses as well as the amount of fees that are associated with our consulting costs.
Got it. Any other questions? If not, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. The motion carries. The next item on the agenda will be the authorization to execute calendar year 24-25 allocation agreement with the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund. John Evan, when you're ready.
Thanks again, Kevin. Empire State New Market Corporation requests approval to execute a calendar year 2024-25 allocation agreement with the Community Development Financial Institutions Fund and an amendment thereto to form 5 additional subsidiary community development entities and to take related actions. On December 23rd, 2025, ESNMC was awarded a calendar year 2024-25 allocation of federal New Markets tax credits in the amount of $70 million. With its $70 million allocation, ESNMC intends to enter into an allocation agreement with the CDFI fund and to close several NMTC transactions. At a board meeting held on November 6, 2024, the directors approved the formation of 5 new subsidiary community development entities, but such approved subsidiary CDs have not yet been formed, and staff wishes to form the approved subsidiary CDs and 5 additional subsidiary CDs, 10 new sub-CDs total in connection with the calendar year 2024-25 award of NMTCs and prior awards of NMTCs. Staff recommends that ESNMC form the sub-CDEs and the approved subsidiary CDEs and execute the allocation agreement and any future amendment thereto to add the sub-CDEs, the approved sub-CDEs, and any other additional subsidiary CDEs as parties. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, John Evan. Any questions from the directors on this item? Just, John Evan, for clarification, the 5 previously approved subsidiary CDEs, we're not reapproving those necessarily. We're just approving the creation of 5 additional for a total of 10 subsidiary CDEs. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, we didn't form the initial 5, so we just wanted to reiterate that we're going to form those, and we want to form 5 additional as well. So yes, 10 total.
Thank you. All right. If there are no other questions, I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it. I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
As noted earlier, we do not have comments from the public, and no opposed. Thank you. The motion carries. The next item on today's agenda is an authorization to adopt the proposed general project plan as it relates to Bogapa project. John Evan, again.
Thanks, Devin. Empire State New Market Corporation requests approval to allocate up to $8 million in federal New Markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary community development entity to make loans to the borrower to finance equipment, inventory, working capital, and related costs associated with Bogapa's 38,000 square foot grocery store in Inwood, New York, and to delegate authority to the president of ESNMC and his designee to take any and all actions with respect to such allocation of NMTCs, the final terms of all transaction documents, and closing the transaction. The project sponsor, Bogapa Enterprises, Inc., is a family-owned company that started in 1988 by catering to lower-income, densely populated areas that did not have access to grocery stores, and continues to serve these communities today. Bogapa now operates 38 full-service supermarkets serving New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut under the Food Bazaar brand. The stores serve some of the most diverse neighborhoods in New York City and cater to the needs of the local community with international and mainstream groceries, dairy and frozen food items, a full-service fish market within most of its stores, and a custom cutting meat department. The project consists of the purchase of equipment, inventory, and working capital for Bogapa's new grocery store, which is part of a larger mixed-use development in the Inwood neighborhood of New York. The grocery store is in an NYC fresh zone. These zones were established to encourage stores in underserved communities to provide a full range of grocery products, including fresh meat, fruit, and vegetables. The proposed project financing is recommended for multiple reasons. The investment is generally consistent with ESNMC's strategy proposed to the CFI fund. ESNMC's strategy for the $50 million 2023 allocation is to invest in transactions that create quality jobs and that increase access to essential goods and services, especially in communities of color that have faced decades of underinvestment. ESNMC also indicated in its business strategy that it would dedicate 30% of its NMTC award to finance non-real estate uses, such as machinery, equipment, inventory, and working capital. The project fits well with this strategy as it brings quality food options to an underserved low-income community and is located in the NYC Fresh Zone, creates quality and accessible union jobs, and will allow ESNMC to provide $8 million of NMTC allocation to finance non-real estate uses. The project's community outcomes are compelling and are consistent with ESNMC's application and community outcome objectives. The project is expected to create and retain 83 full-time permanent equivalent jobs. All of the full-time and permanent positions are expected to be union jobs, receive comprehensive benefits, and receive on-the-job training. And all jobs are available to people without a college degree or who face other barriers to employment. The store is expected to receive 750,000 visits and serve 30,000 people annually, 81% of whom will be low income. The project is located in a highly distressed community with a significant poverty rate, low area median income, and a high unemployment rate. The project has been recommended by the ESNMC Project Review Committee and approved by the ESNMC Advisory Board. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, John Evan. Questions or comments from the directors on this item?
One quick, John Evan, you said the material said it was going to create and retain 83 permanent jobs. Are they going to be moving people from current locations to ramp up operations here?
There will be some employees that are coming from a different location to obtain an additional created. Yes.
Okay.
Has the project begun yet?
So the actual project itself, the building has actually been created and is done. So, but we're funding inventory and machinery equipment, which will happen after we close the transaction sometime in May. Is the hope that we'll close that in May, and then over the subsequent 3 or 4 months, they'll start purchasing inventory and machinery equipment.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Is that the majority of the working capital is inventory? It's not, or is it salaries and inventory?
It's majority inventory and
Okay.
some salaries and other things, but mostly inventory.
All right. Thank you. As noted earlier, we do not have comments from the public, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you. The motion carries. John Evan will now present the final item on today's agenda, which is an authorization to adopt the proposed general project plan as it relates to a multi-service community center to be known as the Hearts Center project. John Evan.
Thanks again. Empire State New Market Corporation requests approval to allocate up to $12 million in federal New Markets tax credits for the purpose of enabling the subsidiary CDE to make loans to a borrower to finance the rehabilitation and adaptive reuse of a historic Lincoln Recovery Center in the Bronx, New York, and to delegate authority to the president of ESNMC and his designee to take any actions with respect to such allocation of NMTCs, the final terms of all transaction documents, and closing the transaction. The project sponsors, Mott Haven, Port Morris Community Land Stewards, and Olympic Development are adaptively reusing and rehabilitating the historic Lincoln Recovery Center into a 23,000 square foot, 3-story multi-service community center to be known as the Hearts Center in the Mott Haven, Port Morris neighborhood in the South Bronx. Upon completion, this center will operate as a community hub with accessible common space for neighborhood use, including an auditorium and practice rooms for community arts programming and events, a community cafe, classrooms for community organizations, an exhibition hall and multi-use room for community arts installations, events and community-based programming, offices, and shared meeting space. The site has been vacant for over 10 years and was the site of a civil rights era alternative detox program founded to combat healthcare inequalities and systemic racism. Since its closure in 2012, the Lincoln Recovery Center has sat vacant and is in a state of deterioration and is a source of neighborhood blight. The building requires extensive remediation, including structural investigation and repairs, remediation of an oil leak in the basement, as well as lead, asbestos, and mold abatement. The proposed financing is recommended for multiple reasons. The investment is generally consistent with ESNMC's strategy proposed to the CFI fund. ESNMC's strategy is to invest in transactions that create quality jobs, revitalize economically distressed neighborhoods, and increase access to essential goods and services, especially in communities of color that have faced decades of underinvestment. The project fits well with this strategy as it will create and retain quality and accessible jobs and provide goods and services, including workforce training, youth education and enrichment, health services, and community events. The project is expected to create 21 and retain 55 permanent full-time jobs. It is also expected to create 95 temporary construction jobs. The project is expected to provide vital community services to over 11,000 community residents annually, 75% of whom will be low income. The project has gained wide community support from all corners, including a diverse range of neighborhood residents, community organizations, institutions, and small businesses. The project has also received substantial financial support from city and state agencies, including a city capital grant, a NYSERDA grant, and the recommendation for an award of up to $2.5 million through the 2025 Regional Economic Development Council Initiative. The project has been recommended by the ESNMC Project Review Committee and approved by the ESNMC Advisory Board. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.
Thanks, John Evan. Any questions or comments from the directors on this item?
I do not.
All good.
Right. Noted earlier, we do not have any comments from the public with regard to this item, and I would entertain a motion for approval.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Any nays? Nope. Thank you. Motion carries. And I thank everyone for their participation in today's meeting. Yvonne, John Evan, of course, for all the work you guys have done on this. Just want to take one moment here, if I may, to give a shout out to Paul Tremolone. Paul is retiring from Empire State Development effective Friday, I believe. So after 20 years with ESD, and geez, I don't know how long have you been on this board, Paul? At least as long as I have, so decade plus, right? So Paul has given 20 years of solid service to ESD and to ESNMC, and we just want to take a moment to thank him and wish him all the best in this next chapter. So Paul, thank you for all your work on this corporation, this director's meeting, and thank you all for your work on at ESD.
Thank you. It was rewarding, and I look forward to seeing all the new projects you come up with after I leave.
Thank you so much, Paul, and congratulations.
Thank you.
All right. Being no further business, I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. So moved. Motion. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for all your work.
Thanks, guys. Take care.